Welcome to this explainer. Listen, if you're joining us today, it means you've absolutely nailed the beginner basics of English grammar. You know your subjects, you know your basic verbs, and you can communicate your general ideas just fine. But now it's time to unlock that intermediate fluency. We're taking the foundation you've already built and adding the polish and precision that's really going to make your English sound perfectly natural. Today, we are leveling up.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. The present simple isn't actually all that simple, right? It's kind of got an ironic name. When you first learn it, it seems so straightforward. I walk, you talk. Easy. But to reach true fluency, you have to navigate some seriously tricky mechanics. We're talking Y-to-I conversions, floating adverbs, and these crazy shape-shifting verbs that turn this tense into a bit of a grammar boss battle. But don't worry, it's a battle we are absolutely going to win today by breaking down the source material into super clear, easy-to-follow rules.
So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll tackle asking yes or no questions. Then, spelling for he, she, and it. After that, expressing time and frequency. And we'll wrap it all up with your shiny new grammar toolkit.
All right, let's dive into part 1, asking yes or no questions. Normally, when you make a statement, everything just flows in a nice, straight line. But what if you want to turn that statement into a question without totally scrambling your sentence? Enter our magic keys, do and does. In the present simple, you don't have to tear apart your whole sentence structure to ask a question. You literally just drop one of these magic words at the very beginning. It instantly signals to the listener right from the very first syllable that a yes or no question is coming. It's just an incredibly efficient little shortcut. Let's look at a super basic statement. You eat. If we want to execute the flip, we just drop do right at the front. Do you eat? And boom, instantly, a statement becomes a question. Notice how we didn't move you and we didn't move eat. That's the real power of these helper verbs. You literally just snap them onto the front like a Lego piece. Moving right along to section 2, spelling for he, she, and it.
Okay, so we've leveled up our questions. Now let's tackle a spot where a lot of learners get tripped up, but you won't. Think of third-person verbs like shapeshifters. With I, you, we, or they, verbs behave totally wrongly. But the second you pair them with he, she, or it, they completely transform. People always say, oh, just add an S. But adding S really isn't always that simple. Sometimes the whole spelling fundamentally morphs depending on the letters at the end of the base verb. But hey, we've got the cheat codes for this. Let's break down this visual cheat sheet row by row. First up, Rule 1. This is your standard, everyday default. For most verbs, you just add an S. So eat becomes eats, run becomes runs. Easy peasy. But check out Rule 2. If your verb ends in specific letters like an S, SH, CH, X, or an O, you actually have to add ES. So wash becomes washes, catch becomes catches, go becomes goes, and fix turns into fixes. Makes sense, right? And then there's Rule 3, the infamous Y to I conversion. If a verb ends in a consonant plus the letter Y, you don't just slap an S on the end. Actually, scratch that. You completely drop the Y, swap it for an I, and then add ES. So study becomes studies with an IES, and carry becomes carries. Lock these 3 specific rules into your memory, and the third person will literally never trip you up again. All right, on to section 3. Expressing time and frequency. So your spelling is flawless now, right? Awesome. But true intermediate fluency means being able to communicate exactly when and how often things are happening in the real world. To do this, the present simple relies heavily on adverbs of frequency. Think of this as a sliding scale of time from top to bottom. Always, usually, often, sometimes, and never. These words are absolutely crucial. They act like a frequency meter for your listener. But here's the catch. Having the vocabulary is only half the battle. You really need to know exactly where to put them. And this is where the spatial mechanics of English get super interesting. Notice the stark contrast here. For those single-word adverbs we just talked about, the golden rule is they go right before the main verb. Like, I always wake up early. See how always is sitting directly in front of the verb wake? But for longer time phrases, things like every day or once a week, those absolutely do not go before the verb. They get pushed all the way to the end of the sentence. Listen to this. She visits her grandmother once a week. Short adverbs before the verb, longer time phrases at the very end. Hands down, getting this placement right is one of the fastest ways to sound like a highly fluent, advanced speaker. And that brings us to section 4, your new grammar toolkit.
Honestly, congratulations are in order because you have essentially just beaten the boss level of the present simple. Let's do a quick recap of the mechanics you've mastered today with this three-part toolkit. Step 1. You now know how to snap do or does right onto the front of a sentence to instantly unlock yes or no questions without scrambling your word order. Step 2. You know exactly how to apply the 3 shapeshifter spelling rules for he, she, and it, so your writing is going to be just as flawless as your speaking. And Step 3. You know how to lock time words into their perfect slots, putting single adverbs right up front before the verb and tucking those longer time phrases neatly at the very end.
So I'm going to leave you with one final provocative question to think about. Do you always practice grammar every day? Take a really close look at that sentence. You can completely decode its entire structure now. It kicks off with our magic key do to make the question. It uses the frequency adverb always, placed perfectly right before the main verb practice. And it wraps up with the time phrase every day, locked right in its proper place at the end. You've got the exact skills to take these building blocks out into the real world now. Keep decoding, keep practicing, and enjoy your brand new level of fluency.